Way back when I was in college, I took a class in primate social order, primate communication. And the professor loved to talk about chimps. And luckily, my college was near the San Diego Zoo, which has a lot of chimps. And we had a free pass. So he would talk about some aspect of chimp communities. And then we would go down to the zoo and we would observe the chimps and see in real time what he was talking about, which made it very, very interesting. And he talked about this brand new theory on chimp communication. Everybody knew at the time that chimps make friends for life, that chimps make enemies for life within their own troop, that chimps live in a very strict hierarchy, that when it's time to overthrow the alpha of that hierarchy, chimps become very, very Machiavellian, and they run all kinds of game on each other. But at the time, nobody really knew exactly how, specifically, they communicated all this information. And this one theory that he talked about was a beautiful theory, an elegant theory according to him, but it was so far outside of the mainstream ideas of how chimps communicate that he was sure that nobody would accept this theory because it completely changed the way we think about communication. It would completely change the way how anthropologists think about animal and human communication. It would completely change the way psychologists think about human communication. But he said it was the most beautiful, mind-boggling theory ever. I went to this seminar once, an advanced hypnosis seminar that was based mostly on energetic work. Instead of giving each other word-based instructions to go into a trance, we were using all these energy techniques, eyes closed energy techniques, eyes open energy techniques. And one of the main components of the seminar was this exercise we did on the second or the third day. And the seminar instructor spent a couple of hours putting us into these two specific states. The first state he called the inner angel state, where we got into a trance, a state where it was complete self-acceptance, complete self-love, complete acceptance of others, complete love of others, a complete openness to others, a complete understanding that if everything about us was being perceived by others, we are okay with that. If you can imagine somebody reading all of your thoughts, looking into all of your past, all of the things you've done, and being completely okay with that. And similarly, reading all of their thoughts, all of the things they've done in their past, and being completely okay with that. Complete self-acceptance of self and complete acceptance of others. That was the inner angel state. Then we practiced being put into another state, which was the opposite state, the I don't like myself, I don't like you, get away from me state. And we practiced shifting back and forth by anchoring these states so we could fire them at will. And then the assignment was to go out in public and find some place where people are just kind of hanging around and practice shifting between these two states to see what effect it would have on the people around us. And what happened absolutely blew my mind. I went to a bookstore and I was standing next to this table with a whole bunch of books on it, and there was nobody around when I started. I picked up a book, I pretended to read the back, but I was really anchoring the angel, the inner angel state. And I just kind of stared at the book, I defocused my eyes and just put myself in a state. And when I looked up, there was a ton of people around the table. They were all looking at the books. They were all facing me. They all had open body language. Nobody was looking at me, but they were just all around me, and there wasn't anybody before. And that kind of freaked me out. And so I closed my eyes again. I put myself into the other state, the get away from me state. And I breathed like for a minute, and I was just kind of looking at the book, defocusing my eyes, making sure I didn't see anybody. And when I looked up, everybody was gone. So just by putting myself in these two states, radiating a certain kind of energy, I attracted people and I repelled people, just only on my inner state, without using anything of my spoken language. There was this guy at the seminar that was a guest speaker, and at the time, he was an absolute legend in the seduction community. He was famous for using nonverbal game, for getting girls without really needing to talk to them. And he told us how he came up with his strategy, his model. He started off by doing something similar. He would put himself in this state, this total state of self-acceptance, of acceptance of others, but he would mix in very, very strong sexual energy, but very, very pure self-accepting sexual energy, When most people feel sexual energy, it's kind of mixed with a lot of anxiety and stress and discomfort and worry that people might see what you're thinking and get angry at you. But he had this complete self-acceptance of sexual energy. And when he combined this self-acceptance of sexual energy with this kind of inner angel state, he attracted all of the women in the place. The way it worked, as he described it, was these women that weren't with a date, that were with their friends, would kind of get this subconscious feeling that the other side of the bar where he was sitting is a better place to be than right here. They wouldn't exactly know why. They would just get this feeling that over there is cool, right here is kind of boring. Let me slowly move over there. And after about 10 or 20 minutes, all the women would slowly come close to him. And this is when it would kick off this kind of interactive feedback loop, where the women would have this kind of subconscious awareness that there's this guy over here that is somehow attractive in some way. They don't know why. They don't know what the deal is. They just know that there's a guy that they would very much like to talk to. But they also notice all the other women are having the same experience, because women are much better at naturally being able to read body language compared to men. And so the women have this kind of interaction between them, and they notice that they're all noticing this guy, which kicks off competition anxiety. And so this guy would sit there in the corner radiating this state. And he would wait until it was at a maximum, and he would just choose the one that was most attracted to him based on his intuition. And all he needed to do was to look at her, make eye contact, nod, hey, what's up? And just kind of motion for her to sit next to him. And that's all it took. And after that, it was on like Donkey Kong. And he did this for several months. And another aspect of this strategy was that because the women were noticing other women, noticing him, they kind of had the subconscious understanding that this guy was not the type of guy to be monogamous. This was the kind of guy that had a lot of women interested in him. And so they didn't really have any expectations of monogamy. And so they were okay with him being with other women. And after he would take them to his house, he always took them to his house and said, yeah, come back anytime. And so after a few months of doing this, there were several women in this town that had this open invitation to come to his house anytime. And they would just show up out of nowhere. And he said sometimes it was so spooky, he didn't really understand it. He would have this kind of idea that I'd like a woman to come over, and he would set this intention, he would radiate this energy, and invariably some woman would come to his house. And the exercise that we did, the inner angel exercise, according to the seminar teacher, was very, very basic level of energetic hypnosis. There's a whole lot of levels up that we could learn if we wanted to. And he said the reason that energy levels are so much more powerful is that if you think about how we communicate, in the English language, there's maybe 50,000 words. But most people, when they go through their daily experiences, they only use about 500 words. And we tend to use these 500 words over and over and over again. But if you can think about how complex your inner state is at any given time, all your emotions, all your desires, all your fantasies, all your dreams. 500 words is not nearly enough to describe that accurately. But if you look at your nonverbal communication, all of your different combinations of body language mechanics, all the different combinations of your facial muscles, all the different combinations of your skin tone and your eye dilation or not dilation, how relaxed or tense your muscles are, how fast you're moving, how slow you're moving, this has much more bandwidth to express so much more information. The problem is that most people are so conflicted inside. I want good things, I don't want bad things, that the end result of radiating all this body language energy is it kind of cancels each other out. It cancels each other out. So if you can become congruent, if you can completely accept everything about yourself, and imagine that everybody can completely read your mind, read your inner state, and be okay with that, just accept this. This will create a very, very, very attractive, subconsciously radiated body language. And this is how you can significantly improve your ability to get what you want in life. And so if you want to learn more, if you want to set yourself apart from the crowd, if you want to learn techniques that most people don't even understand exist, if you want to be able to communicate in ways that most people don't even know exist, check out the links below. Because as he said, communication is your greatest skill. It's something that most people take for granted. But if you make a point, if you make a decision right now to continue to improve your communication skills, You can step aside from the common person and get things that the common people only dream of. But that requires a consistent dedication to continue to improve your language skills, which you can do if you decide to check out the links below. Otherwise, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know down below. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.